The hype for the brand new Apple M2 is getting more and more intense, and a lot of Apple's loyal clients raise their concerns and questions about the upcoming product. Is it that good? Is it in any way superior to the previous M1? Welcome to the Modern Day Geeks. Today we're going to talk about the difference between the previous model, the Apple M1, and the newest model, the M2, and what to expect from the newer version. But don't fret, we're here to answer every one of your questions, so stick around and find more about Apple's M2. During Apple's keynote presentation at WWDC 2022, the company demonstrated its new 13-inch MacBook Air 2022 and MacBook Pro 2022, both of which are powered by the Apple M2 chip. This introduction is noteworthy because it ushers in the entrance of the second generation of Apple Silicon for Macs, which is denoted by the M2. It is a development of the extraordinary M1 chip that Apple introduced in 2020. When we tested it in the 13-inch MacBook Pro M1, MacBook Air M1, and Mac Mini M1, we were blown away by how much it boosted performance and how efficiently it used electricity. Since then, we've seen Apple continue to test the boundaries of what is possible with the M1 performance with the M1 Pro, M1 Max, and M1 Ultra. Now that the M2 has been released, it is essential to have a clear understanding that even though it might not appear to be as potent on paper as some of the M1 variations that are more robust, it still provides more promising upgrades in comparison to the basic M1 design. Once you have a better understanding of the distinctions between Apple's first generation and second generation chipsets, you'll be more equipped to make an informed purchasing decision the next time you're looking to purchase the most suitable MacBook for your requirements. Continue reading for a detailed explanation of the new features and improvements found in Apple's M2 processor. In the United States, pricing begins at $11.99 and $12.99 respectively, so you shouldn't expect to be able to get a brand new M2 powered MacBook for less than $1,200. Since the M1 powered MacBook starts at $999, the cost of the new MacBook Air M2 is $200 higher than the cost of getting an M1 powered MacBook. This is because the M1 Air continues to be sold. If you want Apple Silicon on the cheap, you could always acquire a Mac Mini with M1, beginning price $699, but it'll be a bit less portable than other options. Apple claims that the new M2 chip has 20 billion transistors, which is around 25% more than the original M1, but significantly less than beefier models such as the M1 Pro, 33.7 billion transistors, or the M1 Max, 50 billion transistors. Even though both the M1 and M2 are constructed using 5nm process, Apple refers to the M2 as a second-generation 5nm technology that offers greater performance. This helps explain why Apple claims that the M2 processor can give up to 18% better multi-threaded performance than the M1 processor, despite the fact that the M2 CPU has the same 4 high-performance cores and 4 efficiency cores as the M1 processor. The original M1 chip was along with an 8-core GPU that was responsible for completing graphics-intensive tasks. The M2 comes standard with an 8-core GPU, but it is somewhat more sophisticated than its predecessor and can be upgraded to a 10-core GPU if the buyer is ready to pay a little bit more. You want to know how much more advanced it is, don't you? Apple asserts that the GPU inside the M2 can give up to a 25% better performance than the GPU inside the M1 at the same power level, and up to 35% better performance while operating at max power. The new M2 chip from Apple has a few additional important advantages over its predecessor, the M1, including the fact that it offers 100 gigs per second of memory bandwidth, which is roughly twice as excellent as the M1 had. In addition, just like the M1, the M2 is equipped with a neural engine that has 16 cores. It is a specialized processing unit that performs exceptionally well in machine learning tasks, and its assistance is useful in a wide variety of areas, including image processing and voice recognition. Apple claims that the neural engine in the M2 is capable of performing up to 15.8 trillion operations per second, which is over 40% more than it was able to do on the M1. Regarding the Apple M1 and M2, that is all we have to say at this time. We don't believe that the Apple M2 processor is a significant improvement over its predecessor, the Apple M1 chip, which was its in-house competition. It doesn't thrill us nearly as much as the Apple M1 did when it was unveiled for the first time in the year 2020. The CPU has improved, but the GPU has undergone a very obvious transformation. In addition, other sections have also received some minor updates, which is beneficial for consumers. The fundamental structure is, for the most part, unaltered. The positive aspect, though, is that it consumes less power, as Apple mentioned in the beginning. Because it uses an M2 chip of the latest generation, you can be certain that both its battery life and its performance will be unrivaled. The M2 MacBook Air can play videos for up to 18 hours. In any case, that is the last thing we have to say about this comparison. So, if you had the choice to get one of these, which one would you choose? Let us know what you think in the comments down below. And don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel. This has been the Modern Day Geeks. See you soon on a brand new video.